Hey Sunny, alright, so here is your past life spread. So what we're going to do, again, is look at where you were, what you did with the majority of your time. An important day with feelings, relationships involved. Another important day with relationships and feelings. The death and the lesson learned. And we'll get hints of time throughout. So it's really cool too, a little card popped out with the lesson, so we're going to get a little mishmash of a lesson here. Alright. So all I'm going to do is relay to you the images and impressions that have been coming through so far and keep coming through, and your job is going to try to make connections where you can, and I'll try to help how I can too, okay? Okay, let's get this a little bit straightened out so you can see a little bit better. Okay, so, alright, so where we're starting out is this card, which is Europe, the Europe card. Now, at first, what came through was really interesting. So, okay, so first it felt like we were going to go into a female life, but then it's almost like the cards and the guides and everything was like, nope, not that one, go over here. So we switched over to this male aspect of you. This life is a male life. I'm just going to quickly mention the female life because it did pop in beforehand just for probably some reason. Maybe you can connect, I'm not sure, but or maybe it's for another time, I don't know, but it was a female, young, European, more white-skinned, long, like, brown hair, and it felt like it was more modern, as in 20th century, and it felt like this is someone who was it felt like she worked at a place like a fair, or like a fairground kind of thing, and anyway, there was like agricultural fair is what it feels like in Europe in the 20th century. I'm trying to just give you some details so you can, if you connect with that in any way, if that vibes with you, that's just something to take with you, because that's really, it didn't formulate anything because this came through, so just bear with me. Alright, so Europe. Okay, so it feels like, we're going to go ahead and just put these together because this is the teacher card right here, but it feels very much like we're looking at someone who's a teacher because they have accumulated enough life experience to be that way. So it's not like, oh, you get your degree and you go teach. It's like, oh, you have done your work for a lifetime, like a life work kind of thing. And by this point, it's like you just need to, like, it's like either retire or teach, like that kind of thing. So we're looking at him, quite frankly, it's like they're placing us at first as him as an old man, like an older man, like already done with his life, and it feels like he's a doctor. It feels like a medical doctor. It feels like there's something about where we're coming in his life where he has seen some shit. Like, that's what it feels like whoa, he has seen some shit, like that kind of thing. Like, it started off very traditional and very, like, wholesome, like his whole, like, thing about, like, oh, I'm gonna be a doctor, and kind of like altruistic about it. And then over time he came across such experiences that just kind of shook him up, and it's like, wow, you just never see that coming. You never think that that's going to be part of your path, and it is, and it's, you put yourself there. So it's almost like there's this thing of like, oh, be careful what you wish for, but at the same time it's like, even if you are wishing for something and it turns out that is more difficult or unexpected in certain ways than you thought, it's still going to be your path, the one you chose, and you're still going to learn from it. So it's almost like this little message of like, make sure you're not dipping back into past decisions you've made and dwelling on those, because those are just being carried in your body as residue of regret. And regret, as you know, just like love and grace, holds its own vibration of frequency. So a lot of regret, resentment, wisha coulda kind of thing, those thought patterns and those emotions that are attached to those thoughts hold a vibration and frequency that go through your body, and it feels almost like there is some residue in there that may even, something about just like kind of like clinging to the bones. There's something about clinging to the bones, like, and I don't know if that's even gonna, it's not like, oh, you have problems with your bones. No, it's not like that. It's like there's a residue in you that is filtering through your body still, and it's the idea of not letting go. So we're seeing this theme a lot because, you know, we're seeing so many people shifting energetically, but the biggest thing that is holding them back, or the biggest thing they're finding that they are forced to do in order to shift to the higher vibration or shift into the best version of themselves, is letting go, being forced to let go through just utter mental exhaustion, or having to learn to let go through, you know, that whole like process of inner work. So this is just another little like, hey, Sunny, you know, just check in, make sure that you're not holding it onto any like belief systems where you don't know where it comes from, because it can come from a past life where you're holding on to something and the grudge stays in your body. So just that kind of thing is like, check in with your belief systems. Like do you believe that healing takes a certain amount of time, like 6 months at least? You know, you hear about doctors like these quick recoveries and stuff. It's like, what's your belief system? Is your belief system that you can get over and get through something within a week? Or is it a month, a year? Does it, you know, what else have you attached to your belief system that would include full healing? You know, do you believe like, oh, I can't fully be healed because it's impossible because the doctor said this, and here is the scientific paperwork that's telling me that I will never be, you know what I mean? So you just understand how you could be fed so much information that sounds so logical that you take it into your belief system in your energetic body, that it's really just external belief systems that we ingest, that we allow, that we give permission to make a mark and leave residue in us that we don't need to do. So just remember that you are capable of your own self-healing in that way. So anyway, keep making connections with that however you can. So let's see what else they want to show at this point. So we're looking at that. I want to see where we're going. Okay, so the word that came up is Lebanon, and I don't know exactly where that is. I think that's Middle East. Go ahead, look at a map for Lebanon. There's something about that. So usually I don't get words quite so vividly, and that's what's coming through, so I'm going with it. So if you have any connection to Lebanon, or if you want to look at Lebanon geographically, historically speaking, and see if that country, what that country was like, what it was going through culturally, or if it has had any other names or territory, whatever it is, back in the, I want to say, like, we're looking at 20th century, so start at the beginning and move your way through, because this feels like we're going early 20th century to the mid 20th century, early to mid kind of thing. So also keep in mind that even if you've had other past lives in that time frame, that we can also be looking at parallel aspects, parallel timelines that are running at the same time as what you're focused on now in this timeline. So all that means is it's just another aspect wanting to come through with certain relevant messages or experiences that you need to know at this time. All right. So Lebanon is one. So any connection you have to their culture, music, way of doing things, the aesthetic. If you see photos of Lebanon and you feel pulled towards it, you feel some kind of trigger or tie or yearning or emotional anything about it, that'd be a connection. I don't even know if I've gotten Lebanon before, so that's kind of interesting. So we're looking at this, we're looking at, okay, the doctor, okay, so this is a doctor who I feel has done both. What it feels like is you've both worked stationary at a clinic, but then something happened where you started going to houses. You started going to houses. Okay. Okay, you're gonna have to look up war in Lebanon. War, because it feels like he is going to check on people in an unsafe zone. So that might give you more of a clue of the time period if there was war, in the sense of where there would be regions where it'd be unsafe to be out at certain times. So that might give you more of a clue, but this doctor went even in the unsafe times, and that's what we're talking about as far as him getting, I guess, it doesn't feel like he gets jaded, it just is that thing we talked about where he never saw that coming, like he never saw that being part of his medical career, is this war. So he's seeing people without limbs, he's working in emergency circumstances, when his whole idealistic notion of helping people in the beginning was giving them medicine, making them, basically this is a guy that has really great bedside manner. So this doctor has excellent bedside mannerism, and that's what he wanted to do. He saw medicine as more of like a therapy, but then it kind of flip-switched on him where he was called to what he needed to do, which was more graphic, gory, unexpected, shocking things, like sewing up where an arm used to be, having to remove fingers and things, toes, and having to do these things where people, it's like the people aren't grateful, but they're grateful. It's like, thank you for saving my life, but my God, that was horrific. So it's also the idea of this man understanding that his role as a doctor in life now is not like hugs and love. It's like people who will look at him with fear, but also trust. And there's a huge amount of burden and responsibility that come with that. Ooh, and I'm feeling it right now. It's like, it's so heavy. So if you have panic attacks or anxiety attacks and trouble breathing sometimes, this would be a connection to here, because that's what I'm feeling. It's wanting to put me in a fight or flight mode. So it's like it's like having to settle a fear every day, like this aspect of you. So if you feel fearful of something and you don't know why, if you're in fight or flight mode, if you get, again, anxiety and panic attacks and shortness of breath, and at something that might seem slight to other people, but to you, what triggers you kind of thing, if that is the case here, it comes from here. You can learn to get rid of that. If that is something that has plagued you in your lifetime, or you're finding that it ever starts up, it's not from your current life, it is from this life. This doctor is experiencing PTSD without realizing he's experiencing it. It's the kind of thing where, you can't diagnose yourself. Like, if you're a crazy person, you're not going to know you're crazy. So this guy, it's almost like he's in denial that he is the one with PTSD, when he is seeing all of his these clients, I guess, these patients who truly will have PTSD from the traumatic experiences that their minds and bodies are going through, that this aspect of you is healing, but yet you yourself have PTSD from it. So it's the kind of thing where it's like, if you're a psychologist, you should probably be going to a psychologist. If you're a therapist, you need to go to a therapist. Like, you can't heal yourself in that way. You need to make sure you are asking others for help. I feel like there's a message in that, in just make sure that you are not the one that is constantly giving or people pleasing, that you are open and receiving to any help, or, and help in the way of, like, whether it's someone coming over when you're not feeling good, just to sit there and either hug you, hold you, or just listen, or help in the way of, like, asking a neighbor to help with your house or your apartment or wherever you are. If something breaks or whatever, it's like, don't be afraid to ask for help. Put it out there, like, we have social media now, like, put it out there. It's okay. But there's also the idea of connecting with the idea of, there's the idea of connecting with the idea. Sorry. Anyway, but the connection with this whole, like, not seeing yourself and not catering to yourself, and not just making sure that you are out of denial, making sure that you are aware of what you need emotionally, spiritually, physically, everything. Make sure you are checking in with what you need and don't ignore it. Don't, there are a couple of examples. It's like, it's a certain way of, like, if you need a certain nutrition, eat it. Drink it, whatever. If you know it's going to hurt you, don't. Or if let's say, if you're sexually unsatisfied in whatever way, it could be sexually frustrated or just unsatisfied, whatever it is, don't deny that part of yourself. Like, do something about it. Open yourself to finding the right relationship if you're not in it already, or have a different kind of relationship with yourself. Go exploring, like that kind of thing. It's like, don't deny your natural urges or things that arise in you that is right for you. You can feel it. We know when things are true for us. We just are such experts at pushing things down and pushing things away in order to prioritize life, I guess. You know what I mean? Like the stuff going on, the work, or people who might bother you and you need you immediately kind of thing. You know what I mean? So really, we're looking at this concept of putting yourself first. Where in your life are you not putting yourself first? You need to prioritize yourself at this point. Like, you just need to. And if this means getting out of your routine in the way of what people might expect of you, whether it's, family members or best friends or colleague, whatever it is, if you behave a certain way and you're consistent in that way, and yet you feel like it is doing a disservice to you in the way of compromising yourself, compromising your personality, your feelings, what you need in the moment, whatever it is, this is time for you to be like, okay, I need to change this. Like, I just need to change it. Like, it's time. Because once you do that, once you start feeding yourself all that nice self-love, everything's going to change in the most positive way. And I'm talking like changing like in all the bodies you have, which is physical, energetic, ethereal, mental, emotional, spiritual. Like, once you stand up for yourself and once you make sure that you're prioritizing yourself and being good to yourself in that way, you're going to see major shifts occur in other realms of your being. So keep that in mind. This can also be the teacher aspect. We need to connect with that in some way. There's something that it feels like there's something you're not doing that you know you can do and that you might need to focus on doing. So, we talked about how this aspect of you experienced and then got to a certain point and then it was time to teach. That kind of thing. So it doesn't feel like right now, it doesn't feel like you've actually reached the teaching part yet, but it feels like there's something you're going to be giving back, but you just have to go a little further with it. With whatever it is you're learning or you're into. It doesn't have to be spiritual. It can be like you are accumulating mad awesome skills at playing bridge. I know this is so dumb. I'm so sorry. It's the most random thing, but it's a card game, bridge, right? So it's like if you become an expert at bridge, or we can say chess or whatever, checkers, whatever, like a game, then what that means that if you become an expert at it, that means you're a master at it, and that means once you've hit master level, you could start giving back, right? So I'm just using that simple example of being like a master game player, so to speak, because this affects everything else in life. So it's not about games, it's about whatever that you connect. Maybe you are a chess master, I don't know. But whatever it is that you have been accumulating in your lifetime, there is something you've been accumulating expert level expertise at. And even if it's coping with pain, how to cope with physical pain, how to cope with emotional pain, whatever it is, like there is something that you don't see that you are accumulating mastery of because it feels so natural to you. It feels like, oh no, this is just knowledge I have from being a human being. But that is actually that's part of your purpose, is to have gone through something in order to accumulate mastery of it and to give it back. But it's going to feel too natural and too easy to you for you to realize, oh, this is something I can actually do, and it could be either like lucrative or very fulfilling or career, whatever it might be. You're not realizing you have something that's like right there. It's like it feels like the only thing missing from you getting to the level of giving it back is acknowledging or even knowing or recognizing what it is that you have been accumulating. And again, it feels like it's so natural part of your life that it's hard for you to see. So this is something you really need to look into and feel out and brainstorm with yourself and just meditate on or process, whatever it is you got to do to find this, you got to find this. Because I feel like this is a key to your own like healing and your own purpose and a mission. And it's going to cover so many bases, and yet it'll feel like no way, because it's so a part of you and almost so natural for you that you're like, it'll just hit you over the head and you'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe it. That's what it feels like. And we could talk more about this after, so bear with me. We're gonna go to the first important day here. And keep making connections where you can here. Oh, connection with war as well. War. Does it trigger you? Seeing photos or hearing about the war going on? The villages that are destroyed? I mean, obviously, it's devastating. You're a human being with a heart, it's devastating. But does it trigger you on that deeper level? You know what I'm talking about, that deeper level. So consider that as well. Everything we talked about here is connections. All right. So, first important day. This is the day of enlightenment. So there is a day of like a aha, something's happening, aha moment. Here's the soul group card. We're looking at the soul group. And this is positive and negative. So that's a duality card, it can be positive or negative or both. We're trying to see what's going on here. So I feel like what we're getting at here is something we've already been talking about, which is a day of, hold on. So there's trauma involved, there's a death involved, there's a saving life involved, Here's a star. Okay. So what this is we're seeing you are seeing your role and aspect in the circle of life, and you're also witnessing the circle of life almost for the first time in a full cycle at once. So you've brought children into the world, and you've also seen people die, and you've also healed people. So you're seeing all these aspects of your medical field chopped up. You're seeing the circle of life chopped up until here. So what are they showing me? Okay. So we're going back in time a bit to a little bit younger, and it's younger in how they're showing me this is like it looks like the same old man, but just less wrinkles, and the hair is like salt pepper, but more dark than light. So, oh, yeah, so it feels like we're placing this person in his late 40s almost at this point, maybe hitting 50 or so, maybe 40, yeah, 40s. We're going to say 40s. Also, there's glasses, so there's vision issues involved, which could be a connection with vision. And yeah, okay, so they're showing me in this aspect here, this aha moment, this day of enlightenment, is when he sees a full circle of life occur before his eyes within the period of a day. So within the period of his workday, he sees a birth, he sees a death, and he is also seeing a healing occur. Like, this is not like energy healing, because he's a medical doctor. We're seeing a healing in the sense of him fixing someone. And so in this day, he's just like, it's almost like the day is done, and then he sits back, and then it hits him like a ton of bricks what he just saw. It's almost like an existential realization, because it's not crisis, it's an existential realization. It's like oh my God, like, this is what I've been waiting to see my whole life. It's such, the feeling is so freaking beautiful. It's so profound. It's almost like me feeling just this feeling of what this aspect of you is feeling is only a smidge of what he's feeling, and yet it feels like it's changing me. Like, this is how life altering it is the energy of this moment is so still, so profound and visceral and still living. It's almost like I want to say, can you feel it? Like, can you feel that? Like, if you were to sit there and imagine, allow yourself to just like dissolve into this aspect of you for a moment. Sit back and feel how it feels in a day's time. There's a life being brought into the world. There's a life that didn't make it that goes out. And then there's a life that's being healed and will be brought back to full capacity with time. It's just so incredible. It's so incredible. It's like one of those moments. I keep talking about it and I'm lingering on it because it is so profound. So this is a day of enlightenment for this aspect of you, and that enlightenment has carried through to you. It feels like it would be in the way of, if you can feel beauty, the beauty of life in your body, like even just seeing a beautiful sunrise or sunset, or witnessing something where people don't know you're seeing them, but you see someone do a significantly kind act without looking for people to see it, you know? Like where you can just see the goodness in humanity, moments of that goodness of humanity, kind of restoring your faith in life and humanity kind of thing, those beautiful moments. If those are some of the things that really like make life worth living for you, if you've come across that and you recognize those moments, you're the one that sees them, then that would be that is what we're talking about here, and also the residue of that beautiful enlightenment coming through you. It's not the only way you would be enlightened in your body today in your current life, but that's what we're looking at here, is that the awareness of it, really. This expanded your consciousness and made you highly aware in ways you've never felt before. So there you go. It's feeling a whole another aspect of gratitude and love for this aspect of this doctor who is going through PTSD and doing all these things. It's insane how much feelings this man is going through. So this would connect with you too, in the sense of it being you being very highly emotionally aware. So being either you are emotional, like you could be crying because you're happy, crying because you're sad, crying because there's a beautiful moment kind of thing, showing your emotions, being able to, but it's more about like feeling what you feel. Like, are you a feeler? Do you feel things? Can you even empathically, if you're an empath in this life, that would make complete sense. And this doctor here, it's almost like he wasn't an empath, and then this moment is like what supercharged his soul into becoming an empath, either in this life or following, so to speak, in this way. So keep connecting with this however you can. The soul group card comes in because it feels like we're witnessing people who are of his soul group going through these things. So it's almost like so profound to him, because it feels like for example, the person that died here wasn't family. He didn't know him personally, but it was his soul group. Okay, so this soul chose to come in to die in this moment, in this daytime, in order for, basically he chose his death at this time, just like the child that was birthed here chose the birth at this time. And the person who was healed chose to be healed, hurt, and then healed at this time, in this day. Because it's a contract with you, your aspect of this doctor man, in order to bring him to that enlightenment moment. That's where the soul family comes in, the soul group, because that was all a contract. That this day is a contract. Okay. Whew. Okay. It's very charged. A lot of energy here. So make connections where you can with that. We're going to the next important day. So here we have the birth card, and then here is the family card, and the feeling of capable and incapable. So this is fun because this is a moment we see where it's like the man is a doctor, the man has performed births, but yet when it comes to his own child being born, he's just a dad losing his head. It's, you know what I mean? It's like a relationship coach helping couples, or helping someone, let's say, find a relationship or find love, right? And then that relationship coach, when they're in their own initial relationship startup trying to find their own love kind of thing, they're going through it and they can't be in the coach mind. They're there and they're like experiencing their talk. So it's like walking your talk. It's like you can't do it in certain aspects with certain things. Like, so when it comes to love, you know, or family, like this man, it's like, it feels like his daughter is being born and he's just not a doctor at this point. He's just a father. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like a really interesting it's an interesting concept, interesting feeling to feel, but it's also that idea of letting go too. That's what's coming through here, is the letting go. Is like, you need to learn when to put away, you know, when you're in school and they teach you, oh, wear the thinking cap, wear the problem solving cap, wear, you know, so as you grow up in life, you get, oh, it's the career cap, the you know, be a domestic family member cap, the daughter cap, the wife cap, that kind of thing, right? We wear all these caps, and it's the idea of learning to let go of, like, learning to like take off certain caps and put on just the sunny cap. Just the sunny cap, you know, like you're sunny. Put on the sunny cap. Don't put on the colleague cap or the daughter cap or the sister cap or the whatever cap. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is about when it's time to let go. Knowing the right time to just be in the moment is what it feels like. Being present in the moment. If you're working on learning to be present in the moment, this is a message for you to continue learning that and to continue almost like take it a step up. You know, like try to be as mindful in the moment. Take one day a week. Pick a day, take one day a week where you are mindful of everything you're doing, thoughts that are coming in. When you eat a meal, don't have any other distractions. Be mindful in the present moment of what that meal, how it's affecting you emotionally, physically, the taste, the texture, the way, let's say you're eating cereal. It's not just about the cereal. It's like, how does it feel for the spoon to be in your mouth and out of your mouth? And how does it feel to chew the cereal and also have the milk in there? What does it smell like? What does it make you feel like? Does it bring you back to a childhood memory? Or is it just letting you daydream? Or is there nothing there at all? Are you just lost in the food in the moment? You know, like that kind of thing. So that's what I feel like is coming through, is like, how can you step up your game spiritually wise? How can you step up your game mindfully existing? Is start with a day of the week where you can seriously try your best to be mindful with every moment you can. And I pause there, I'm sorry, because it's like, it's hard. Like it is hard if you're not used to it. So don't be hard on yourself if you find yourself kind of floating in and out of mindfulness or the present moment, because that's just showing you where you lose your attention, where you drift off to, what thoughts are pulling you away from the present moment, which thoughts are stronger than your willpower to be in your discipline, to be in the present moment. Those are thoughts that then you might want to jot down. And you might want to process and think, okay, why did this thought come up, and why was it so much stronger than my desire to stay present? Because that might be something that needs letting go of, or forgiveness, right? Or love. You might need to send love to that thought, or forgiveness to that thought, if it's a thought from the past of like, maybe it's something you wish you didn't do, or, you know, whatever it might be. Send forgiveness and love to that version of yourself, that memory, that when you were whatever age it was that memory occurred. You know what I mean? So it's just about stepping up your game of being more mindful in the present moment, and this is going to help you so much, because you're going to become so much more aware of how to like speak with your mind and your body and your higher self. Everything is going to align so much better that way. So keep this in mind. Keep making connections here where you can. It's also the message and the idea of learning how to relinquish your role that you're putting off. So we all have masks that we wear, the caps that I was talking about, daughter, wife, colleague, whatever, friend, and all of those have a role. You're playing roles. And so this is where you need to step out of your role, almost like detach yourself from your body, step out of the role that you're currently in, and step back in as your most authentic sunny self. That's what you need to do, is learning how to step out of roles so you can realign with your most authentic self, which is the role of who you are. And I even want to go so far as to say they don't want me to even say sunny. They want me to say step into the role of your soul. You know, Sunny's a label, Laura's a label. Like, that's what it's saying, is get authentic. How you get to that role more and more often, more easily, more smoothly transition into that role where you want to be, is, again, the mindfulness, the present moment, the letting go. Keep that in mind, and keep making connections where you can here. Now we're going to go to the death, and this is the burn baby burn card. So, you know, a lot of times we get this with like witches that are burned at the stake, or even like house fires, and then we get smoking too. And so I'm just going to tune in here and see what's going on, because it feels like the death is not quite significant, because usually it just like filters through right now. Okay, so they're showing me you with a cigar-ish looking thing. Cigar, we'll just go with cigar. You actually might want to look up and see if they have specific cigars in Lebanon. I know it sounds so weird, but excuse me. I say cigars type thing. Oh my god, I'm choking. Not fun. Okay. I say cigars type thing because it feels like it's not like full-on cigar. So anyway, if they have a specific kind of thing that they smoke over there in the Lebanon area, the region of that place, that'd be so cool to know, because that'd be super validating, because it's not like pure cigar. Okay, so it feels like that contributes to the death, but it doesn't feel like it contributes enough where you die. Like, you maybe you could have had, you know, a few years more if you didn't smoke so much, but it feels like it's such a thing of the people in the region that it's like not even like worrisome. It's not even like, oh, I wish I didn't smoke. It's like, no, smoking feels like it's just part of the culture. So there's no real regret there at all. That's why it feels like there's no connection really. If there was a connection, it would just be that maybe you in your current life are just like, I am not smoking. That, you know, I don't want to be around the smell of smoke, you know, people smoking, smokers kind of thing, like that might bother you a little bit kind of thing. That's the only reason. Or I should say connection, not reason. The other connection would be if you do smoke and if you like smoking, or if you if you don't smoke but you like the smell of smoke, or specifically cigars or cigarish type things, not cigarettes per se. So that would just be the connection there. Otherwise, the death was, it didn't feel like it was hard or painful. It feels like it was more peaceful, quite frankly. Just like, it feels like respiratory went out. Just like breathing, and then sleeping, and then gone. Like died in sleep. And much older. We're looking at an old man here. Like, he lived a full life. So, there you go. Make connections where you can with that. We're going to go ahead to the lesson here. This is the experience card, and we just went over everything. You know, this guy, this aspect of you experienced so much, and really, it really feels like it accumulated right here. Like the climax was here. And after this, it was like, boom, awareness, consciousness expansion. And since that happened, it's like it put him in touch with his heart and his soul more. So, which actually is why it feels like he was kind of out of his mind a little bit, or I guess dad mode, when his child was born, because this allowed him to understand how significant his role as a father would be, because it opened up his heart and soul. This opened up his mind, heart, and soul so much that if this didn't happen, this experience didn't happen, then when the child was born, he probably would have been more in doctor mode. But he allowed his heart to take over, and that's what we want to see here. So it wasn't like, oh, my emotions are taking over at a time when I need to like get my shit together. It's not like that, because there were doctors there. He wasn't the doctor to deliver. There were other people there. He was able to just, again, shift into the role of dad. Kind of thing. So that's what, again, working on yourself, expanding your consciousness as much as possible, being aware and mindful, that's what that's going to do, again, is help with a smoother transition into your most authentic self. But he experienced so much. We're looking at a doctor, first of all, so we're looking at someone educated, worldly, helping so many people in so many ways. We're looking at someone going through a war zone. We're looking at someone having a family, even with all this stuff, PTSD. So he's experiencing emotional things, so much emotion, and also action. So there's nonstop experience happening here, and you might say, oh, well, like every life is experience. It's like, yeah, I know, but we're not looking at like a farmer's daughter who lives on, milks cows and then marries the, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like a simple life. This is not simple. That's what the experience card, I feel like, is, that this is such a full, constantly moving action life. So it feels like almost like in your current life, relax. Like, it's like you need to, like, it just feels like your current life compared to this, it wouldn't be direct. It would be, for you, your lesson currently, as in relation to this, would be to learn how to cater to yourself and take care of yourself, because you were so busy here taking care of others. So, which I'm going to just throw this in. This card popped out too, and it's the self-love card. And I feel like this is for this life right here that we're looking at. And then this card popped out for your current life that you're living, which is supposed to be about catering to yourself, self-love, making sure that you are becoming the most aware of your entire being that you possibly can. And that comes with giving time to yourself, like giving yourself, like setting play dates with yourself. Why don't you set play dates with yourself? Like, set time, literally put it in your calendar. If it's hard for you to do, you need to do this for yourself. You also need to make sure that you are experiencing things in your current life, but for yourself. All these experiences were for others. Even the childbirth thing, he was able to get into dad mode, so he experienced it for himself here too, but his attention was on, is the child okay? Is the mother okay? What can I do? Blah, 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 that kind of thing. Kind of chaotic. And then here, in this current life, the self-love thing, it's about experiencing things for yourself. Go take a trip. And it could be with other people, girlfriends, whatever, whoever, but make sure it's for yourself. So if you want to go on a road trip, let's say, make sure that you're the one picking the destination, and don't veer off course for other people if they're complaining. If you have complainer friends, time to step away from that. I'm not saying get rid of them if you don't want to and you love them, but if they're complainers or whiners, you need to at least spend more time with people like that, at least, okay? Because that is toxic. So keep that in mind, and just make sure that you are really giving to yourself. That's what I want to say. Now, there was something else that came through that's popping up again, that came through at the beginning of this reading. Sometimes I just get information that has nothing to do with the past life. So I do want to say there's something coming through about a pet for you. I don't know if you have a pet. If you do, fine, but this is more about a new pet. So even if you have a pet, there's something about you getting a new family member in the form of a pet. Now, what's really funny is what's coming through is a turtle, and that just might be to showcase, like, oh, maybe it's an amphibian, maybe it's a reptile or whatever it is, because that's what it might be related to, or it could be a turtle or whatever. But I'm not getting the feeling of like a dog or a cat or something like that. So this could be a new pet for you. This could be that maybe you've come across someone that just got a new pet, or you're considering it. I don't know what this is, but that's what's coming through. So just connect however you can. If you can't connect with that, just tuck it in the back of your head for later. You know what I mean? So it's just something about new family member, new pet, something about a turtle. Take it with a grain of salt, please. I don't know what that is. So just bear with me. Anyway, there is your past life. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you were able to connect with some of this stuff and resonate with it. And thanks for letting me read you.